You know why you're here.
The Star Wars Rogue One spoiler review, Alex.
Review.
Okay, yeah, I like this.
All right, let's get into it. Positives, negatives. We're talking all spoilers. So if you haven't seen the film, first of all, put it on your watch list and go see the film. All right. My grilled cheese is done.
Wonderful.
All right.
Looks good, man.
Thank you. All right. Let's have a chit chat here. This movie is awesome! It's awesome! If you are a Star Wars fan, this movie is awesome! Oh my goodness! I don't even know where to begin. There's so many little tidbits everywhere. I haven't been this giddy since almost 365 days ago when I was in line watching The Force Awakens. I loved this movie. I gotta figure out where to start. I think all the characters are great. I think Donnie Yen steals the show along with K2SO. I think they steal the show. They're funny. They're great. They're really good characters to me, and they're awesome in all the scenes they're in. I loved all of them, and it was great having a Force user because people think that you have to be a Jedi or Sith to know the Force, and that's not true. And it's and watching him fight alone, it was great getting a martial arts expert to come in and do this.
Oh, was he a martial arts expert?
Oh, he's one of the biggest Asian actors.
Oh, cool.
Like I've heard that some people are saying this guy, because of Star Wars, might become the new next Jackie Chan. He'll get a few more of those roles, and he's good.
Yeah.
I loved the whole group. I loved all of them. And you know what I really loved? And this is something this is all you hear. Whitewashing in Hollywood. Whitewashing this. Whitewashing this. This movie's lead was a woman, and all the characters around him were different ethnicities. And all we hear is, well, why aren't they putting, we need stronger female leads. We got one, and it's awesome, and Felicity Jones kills it.
Yeah.
They're all different ethnicities. You're not following just a generic white guy, which is what a lot of people complain, and I love that this movie did that, and Star Wars is the type of movie to pave the way for everyone else, saying, you can make good movies with these people. Do it. So I love that. Felicity Jones was amazing. Donnie Yen, all of them. I loved every single moment. Their monologues. I would follow Jyn Erso into battle anywhere. She inspired me. I got chills. Oh my! When she delivers the line to them, when they know they're probably all gonna die, but to be able to some shows and movies can't do this. Like Braveheart is a great example. You give a speech and you say, and everyone knows they're gonna die, but you're saying this cause is more important, and it rallies them. And I was, especially when she said, "May the Force be with you," getting into the ship when they were heading, and everyone knew, everything stood up on. I was just could not handle it. The hairs everywhere. I could not handle it. It was so. I don't know what you gotta interrupt. I need to find a spot to focus.
Yeah, this movie's really good. No, I mean, first off, I'll start with the characters as well. Like the female lead, Felicity Jones, nails it as Jyn Erso, right? Am I saying that right? Jyn Erso?
Yeah.
She is a great female lead, and like you said, we do need more of those. And Star Wars is paving the way to show that you can be able to get great female leads, and Felicity Jones kills it as this character. I loved her character a lot. Donnie Yen was also the biggest standout for me when it comes to all the characters. I loved every moment of the scenes that he had. I thought he was almost stealing the show in some regards. And I noticed in his first scene, he gets a great action scene going, and I was like, oh, this is the action that we're getting. This is going to be awesome. And the action just kept delivering. It made you feel like you're in this one heck of a war zone, like at every single battle that they have.
Seeing the Force guide him to dodging the lasers.
Yeah.
And taking him out with a stick. With a staff. Oh.
It was so great.
So cool.
And on top of Donnie Yen, they did a really good job of having the Force be included in this without having the Jedi being involved at all. And I think that's really cool that we're able to have a Star Wars movie that doesn't rely on the Jedi, because we haven't had that before. We've never had that before in a Star Wars movie, and it's really awesome that we're able to
Yeah, there you go. Sorry, technical difficulties. Continue, Kyle.
That we're able to have a Star Wars movie without having to relying on Jedi at all. So that's really great to have. And on top of that, all the special effects were so awesome. The scenes with the Death Star, oh my goodness, never would I thought I'd be able to see the Death Star like we saw
built.
there. Like, actually, not only be built, but just having all these amazing close-up shots on it, because we didn't have that in the original trilogy. And yeah, you could debate that it was... That was also shown in The Force Awakens with the new Death Star or whatever, but to me, to see the original Death Star up close and in personal like that was just so amazing to watch. And speaking of the Death Star, Darth Vader, he's in this movie, and he's awesome.
I gotta say,
you
gotta chime in here.
Go right ahead.
If we're jumping to Vader, I gotta chime in here. I fell in love with this franchise as a young lad. A wee lad. A small lad.
He was tiny, guys.
Darth Vader is probably the most iconic villain in movie history. You can make an argument for many others, and you can have a great debate over it. Mm-hmm. But he's in the conversation by far. I've only gotten to see him on the big screen once in The Revenge of the Sith, where he goes, and you're like, don't care at all. To see the Darth Vader that I know, this powerful fallen Jedi turned Sith, Anakin Skywalker, to be able, like, one of the things I heard coming out of The Force Awakens was, and this is from people who are not big on Star Wars, were like, Vader's not powerful. Anakin's not powerful. Kylo Ren stopped a laser blast. Kylo Ren's more powerful than Vader. Oof, you don't know Darth Vader. And he reminded everyone in that scene how powerful he is. Okay. So when we go, movie meal fans, when we go to movies, we always like, especially these big, we love to go with a big group. And people are starting to want to sit by me in a Star Wars movie. First thing when I get out of the film, this guy looks at me and he's like, man, you have just some of the most joyous yelps I've ever heard. When Vader...
A wee little lad came out of you during that movie. Like, that's for sure.
When Vader... Like, when all the soldiers turn and you just hear the breath. And I was like... Like, my eyes got wide, and I was sitting like this, and I was like, he's going to turn on the saber. And he just lights up his saber. And then he just starts so easy. He's just spinning his wrist, deflecting. He's throwing people up, slashing them. He's throwing them. He's choking them to death quickly. He's just mowing them down. I would have paid $100 billion that I don't have to see that one scene. That scene was amazing. Like, I can't watch episode 4 the same anymore. I just can't do it. To know that they just break away and go, and Vader's like, well, let's get on the other ship and get going. And that leads into that. Oh my God. He just mowed down half of her crew.
And it's not even a big scene. It's a small scene. Like, he keeps having these scenes where they're just so tiny, but they deliver.
It was exactly... It's like Kevin Feige walked up and was like, hey, Gareth, you know what you can do? Here's what I did with Spider-Man. I knew it's what the fans wanted. I gave them a few minutes, and they went berserk. Mm-hmm. Do that. You know, we know that didn't happen, but like that's what it felt like, and that's what I thought would happen, is that we were going to get a Spider-Man type scene from Civil War out of Vader, and man, did it deliver. Oh my God, he just mows people down. He's so powerful. Okay. This is what we're going to do the rest of the time. You say things you like, and then I'm just going to jump in.
Okay. Oh, my goodness. Sorry, I have to get back on track. Where were we? Okay, yeah, we were talking about Darth Vader. Oh, my God. That was so funny. Okay. Yeah, no. And not only the teases with Darth Vader, but the movie does a really great job at connecting between episode 3 and episode 4. Like, once they start explaining, like, the scenario of what is happening at this time, you understand how it's all going to connect with episode 4. And I think that was a really great job, because this is a movie that is pretty much the prequel to episode 4. So you really need to explain...
Did you say the word prequel?
Yes, I did. And I don't feel bad.
You can't say that in Star Wars!
But I don't feel weird about it. It feels right. It feels right, Alex.
It's a good prequel.
It's a good feeling. But no, the movie does a really good job at giving you all these little hints and snippets of like how this is connected to episode 4 that it didn't beat you over the head, but it made it so that way it made sense. It was quick, it was to the point, and I thought it was a job well done. And one of my favorite moments of that was when we get to see a young Princess Leia at the end of that movie. Because I didn't think I would see a young Princess Leia in the theater at all, but somehow they have the technology to be able to do that. It's beyond my mind. It's beyond my concept of reasoning on how they're able to do it, but they did it, and I didn't think they would, and to me, that was awesome.
So I want to ask you something, because, alright, you know what? We clearly both liked this movie way more than we disliked it.
Oh, yeah.
So real quick, because what I'm going to ask you is kind of about a negative that some of my friends have already told me they had.
Okay.
So why don't we do negatives real quick, and then I'll end with this question of mine to you, and we'll do that, because we know the rest of this time's going to be bouncing on the positives.
Oh, yeah.
So real quick, what are your negatives?
I said this in my not spoiler review, but one of my biggest negatives was that the first act kind of has a hard time like trying to introduce these characters as well as setting up the narrative to this story, at least to me anyway. But once the second act hits, like it's able to all compile together and to make it be a really good story throughout the whole movie. So the first act to me was kind of like trying hard to jumble between the characters and to get the scenes all connected, so that way we can get a real story going. And it was taking me out of the movie a bit, but it wasn't like the biggest worry that I had, because then once the second act started, that's when the movie really got going. To me, that's what I really enjoyed the most. And a couple of lines for me that were supposed to be for humor's sake didn't really work for me personally.
Who delivered most of them? Was it K2SO?
Yeah, I would say so.
Really?
Yeah.
I loved K2SO.
I enjoyed the character, but for some of the lines, to me, just didn't really work, or they just were taking me out of the movie.
And he was a mocap performance.
Yeah, and I thought it was a really great mocap performance, but the lines just didn't work for me personally. So yeah, really, let's face it, we don't have a whole lot of negatives with this movie.
I thought for me, I thought the creature that the pilot got that could like tell if you were lying, that Saw Gerrera used on the pilot on Brody.
Yeah.
I thought he kind of looked like the Rathars from episode 7 to me. It was a little weird, out of place CGI, but I mean, it looked good. Like you say that, but yet it looked great. That's as good as that thing's gonna look. It just felt a little weird with all the practical effects. The second act slows a little bit for me. I was really invested with the Saw Gerrera stuff, and to me it was weird going from Saw Gerrera to the dad to the big battle.
Yeah.
But I still loved every moment of it. That was, for me, some of my real big negatives on the film. Part of the thing that really sucks is I would have loved to have learned more. Like, I was okay with all the characters, because the most fleshed out is Jin. And I would have loved to have learned a little bit more about, Donnie Yen's character and his buddy, the bodyguard.
Yeah.
Like, I would have loved to have learned more, but yet their death still impacted me. It wasn't huge, like Tears was no Han Solo.
But you still felt it.
But I still felt it. So a little bit more to, like, I feel like maybe they could have reworked the middle part with their dad a little bit more to make it a little shorter, or rework it a different way to give a little bit more to the characters at the beginning, but I still liked the way it worked. I think Garrett Edwards made a great movie. So here's a question I have to you, since that's our small negatives.
Get that.
That's how little negatives you have, and you gave it an 8.5. We'll get there. What the heck? Give it a 9. Come on. What did you think of Tarkin? Now, Tarkin is the main, in case you don't know. He's like, it's Emperor Vader Tarkin, pretty much. And he's the one who shows up and is like, no, I'm in charge of the Death Star now, and he leaves. What'd you think of him?
Honestly, I didn't really have... He was suitable, I guess.
What did you think of, like, his physical appearance?
It was okay.
He's entirely CGI.
Really?
Yeah, the actor who played him is dead.
Really?
Passed away.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
But, so he passed away, and they completely CGI'd him. We were looking this up. Caleb was saying it, because I could see the CGI, and I wasn't sure if they did what they did with Leia, which is have an actress who looks a lot like a young Carrie Fisher, and then put her in the makeup, make her look that way, and then just CGI her face a little bit. But he was completely CGI.
Wow.
And we have a buddy of ours, and a couple other people were telling me this, that it pulled him out of the movie. And they're like, it was so bad. The CGI was so blatant. And this is something I've come to realize. we are so spoiled as movie fans. There isn't technology that exists to make him look any better.
Mhm.
That's the best he's going to look. And he looked phenomenal to the point where this guy didn't even know he was CGI.
Woo, right over
Like,
my head.
I
Didn't even
love
know.
that that is now a negative. Well, he was so CGI, it took me out of the movie. Well, it probably would have looked worse for him if they had, because he had more scenes than Leia, if it was an actor and his face was CGI.
Mhm.
Instead, the whole character was CGI.
That's crazy to me.
And it looked awesome.
Mhm.
Like, I immediately was like, oh, there's CGI on the... Like, that's a CGI. I didn't know he was full CGI till after the movie, but I could tell that there was CGI involved on his face.
Mhm.
But you have to get rid of your disbelief a little bit. And I just can't believe we're so spoiled that we're like, I didn't like it. If the technology that doesn't exist isn't being used, I don't like it. Like, I don't understand how that can even be a problem.
I'm still at the part where the entire character was CGI. I had no knowledge of that. I had no idea that.
I think he
was
looks
completely
great. Like,
CGI.
yes, you can tell he's CGI, but when you see
Apparently,
CGI,
I don't know.
when people see CGI, though, why does it have to be, man, it looks so bad, it was so CGI'd. When are we... If this movie came out in the 70s, people would lose their minds if it looked that way. Like, I just can't believe how spoiled we are, and then we just want everything the way we want it. I thought he looked great. Seeing Leia, I got tears. I got tears because I saw a young Carrie Fisher,
Yeah,
and it was incredible.
I was going out of the movie because that was like the first thing that popped in my head because that was literally the end of the movie, and I was just like, holy crap! How did they like that? That technology just blows my mind that we're able to do that now, where we can make older actors just look younger. I mean, like back in Civil War, we were able to see a
Ant-Man.
younger Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, exactly. It's just crazy, man.
I actually thought
It's
this
just
looked
crazy.
better than the young Robert Downey Jr.
I agree.
Mainly because they found an actress of the age
Yeah,
who looked like her. I mean, how great do you have to feel when all of a sudden Gareth Edwards knocks on your door and he's like, by the way, we've been creeping on you and we know you look like young Carrie Fisher. We're going to pay you a lot of money to be in this movie. She's probably like, yeah. At least I would. I'll play young Carrie Fisher.
no one wants to see that.
I do.
But no, that's so awesome. I had no idea. Lesson.
It was just interesting to me seriously, that is a problem now we have with movies.
Mm-hmm.
The CGI didn't look... It just sounds so film snobby to me. I'm going to be honest. Like, I can understand if you're like, oh, the CGI took me out of the movie. I could tell it was CGI, and for me, it took me out. That's different. Saying, they should have just gotten rid of the character. Why would he be... You need Tarkin in there, man. How can you not have Tarkin in this movie? And I loved it. I loved how he looked. I loved all of it. This movie is so good. I love Jyn's scenes. I love being able to see how powerful the Death Star really is. That it's not... I mean, yes,
Yeah.
we know
Yeah.
a planet blew up. We felt... When Alec Guinness sits down and he sells you that it's like thousands of voices screaming, like, it sells you... They can pinpoint cities and wipe them off the planet more powerful than a nuclear bomb.
Mhm.
Like, that is incredible to see that and see him be like, no, just blow up the planet or the city. Just do
Mhm.
that. Like, I loved it.
Yeah.
I really liked Forrest Whitaker. I thought he did, because Saw Gerrera is a character from Clone Wars.
Oh, okay.
And so he's the first one playing from these canon shows, playing them in live action, which I'm really hoping we might get to see in other prequels for Rebels, which would be super cool. But I loved it. I was a little bummed no Han Solo cameo.
It makes
But
sense.
we had some great cameos, though. The cameo of R2-D2 and C-3PO.
That one actually took me out. I forgot.
Get over it.
I mean, I
I'm sorry.
that was a little bit of anger there. I don't know. It took me out of it, but, it's fine. Like, we like those characters. It worked.
Well, to me, it's not like, why are they here? It's like, oh, there they are! And they belong there. They have to be on the ship.
Yeah.
So they needed to do that. And the cameo I really liked is, I don't know if you noticed, but the guys who get there, the two guys and the guy who gets his arm cut off by Obi-Wan in episode 4, were on Jeddah, and they're the ones that she bumps into, and they're like, hey, and the dude's like, no, and they leave.
Oh, I didn't
So they
even
probably
know.
just left and then went to Tatooine. Like, it's just a cool little tidbit. There's so many great moments for the fans, man. So many of them. I lost my mind. They mentioned the Darksaber. You know how intense in lore you need to be to know what the Darksaber is?
Pretty
It is
intense.
It was so cool to hear her say that. I loved all of it. I loved I thought the Stardust the way he, his dad calls Jin Stardust, and
Mhm.
that ended up being, and she's like, no, that's definitely it. I
Yeah.
mean, that's me. I loved it. And you can't watch episode 4 the same. I
don't think I'll be
can't.
able to, yeah.
The second episode 4, when the crawl starts and it's a small band of rebels, I'm going to instantly think of Jyn Erso and this group and their deaths and everything and how it impacted me. And then the second, they get to the ship and they get on the ship and everything, and they start saying more of what happened in this big battle. The rebels got us this. Like, it's just going to be intense. You got to wonder, are they gonna make another prequel? Because there's 2 Death Stars, the one in episode 4 and then the later one.
Yeah.
And in the other one, many Bothans died to get those plans. And I'm curious if we're gonna have a Bothan movie. I doubt it.
Probably not.
But man, it's a fun movie. It's gritty. It's war. And on the big battle at the end, it feels so. They're placing bombs. They're focused. They're doing everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you liked it a lot then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, this was the Star Wars show starring Alex Weaver. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
I'm sorry. Talk.
No, man. Like
Talk.
I'm not a big Star Wars fan like you, and I'm really glad that you were able to enjoy this movie so much. Whereas with me being a casual fan, I still had my enjoyment with it. I didn't know all the little Star Wars nitpick stuff like you did, but I think that's awesome that the fans are able to have these moments where they're like, oh, that's from this and that's from that, and it's awesome that we're able to have these movies now that are able to intertwine with Star Wars even more than we did with the prequels or even the original stuff. So I'm really happy that fans are going to be able to have this.
So I'm the Star Wars guy. He's the comic guy, and what he's really saying is, Batman v Superman was supposed to be better.
I didn't have my moment. Where's my moment?
I hope Justice League is that for you, buddy.
I hope Wonder Woman's like that, because that's coming out before. And
May the Force be with you.
I need something at this point from DC.
There's so many. I thought the lead-in was great. All the little tidbits for such deep Star Wars fans. If you're really into Star Wars, there's a book right now out called Catalyst, which is the Rogue One story, basically. But it's the book, and there's going to go in more depth in a lot of things. And I've heard, if you're a big Star Wars fan, because I haven't read it, but a lot of the big Star Wars fanatics on YouTube and other podcasts that I love to listen to have just said they are more impacted after reading the book. And they read the book before going to the movie. I'm going to get the book. If you're a big Star Wars fan, I'd check that out. I'm going to start reading a lot more of the canon stuff than I already have. But man, this movie, performances all around, just so good from everyone involved. I thought the direction was great. The shots were great. A few moments here and there I didn't like. But man, I loved this movie. I'm kind of burnt out on how much I want to go buy a ticket. So, for those of you that don't know, I grew up, my earliest memory that I can really remember is Star Wars. I can't find much before that. I remember, and it's thanks to the prequels. All the prequels, I wouldn't be as big of a fan because I remember seeing the Darth Maul fight at a daycare. I showed up, and I went into this room. I knew I was going to get picked up soon. I had done a bunch of other stuff, and I remember just seeing that fight with Darth Maul. And I was like, what is this? And it was on tape. It was on a VHS tape.
Wow.
And my dad, when I came home, I was like, Dad, what is this? And he goes, oh, that's Star Wars. And I was like, what is that? And he took me home, and he popped in episode 4.
It's beautiful, man.
Man, ever since that day, man, all my little brother and I would play, all our buddies around, we created our own Star Wars stories, and that's why I have to give this movie a 10 out of 10, because to me, prequels are not 10 out of 10s to me. They're not. But all these incredible Star Wars films that are coming out in the original trilogy that are just making me fall back in love and make me feel like a kid again, which the prequels didn't. I mean, I was a kid when the prequels came out, but I give them a 10 out of 10 and then rank them from there. They're that good. I can watch episode 4, 5, 6, and 7, and now this. I know anytime. If Kyle's just sitting upstairs and he's watching The Empire Strikes Back, I'm gonna sit down and finish it with him. And that's what a 10 out of 10 is should be to you guys for movies. What's that movie you can pop in anytime and you have to watch it? Because to me, that's what Star Wars is. It changed my life for the better. I don't care. People don't like it. Star Wars is awesome. Sorry, 10 out of 10 for me. 10 out of 10. And I have problems with the film, but it's a 10 out of 10.
Hey, Well, I don't blame you there. 8.5 out of 10 for me. You guys heard what I had to say. You know why I had to give this an 8.5 out of 10. It's an awesome movie. People should really check this out. It is one of the great spin-off movies I think that we're going to have from Star Wars for a while.
Man, if Lucasfilm now can do anything like Marvel can, because even the Marvel movies I don't like, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3 I'm not big on, they're still pretty good.
Yeah,
like, they're not awful. They're not
good.
horrible. They're good. Even if the Han Solo movie's good, like, that's going to be awesome. But Rogue One, to me, changed my viewing moving forward. I'm never going to watch. I love this. I loved everything about it. I'm going to go buy another ticket. And please see this in the theater. It needs to be seen in the theater.
Well worth it.
Guys, what did you think of the spoiler review?
Enough about him!
I'm sorry I've hurt you.
No, you're totally fine. I knew this was all about you, man. I knew you needed
It's not all about
this.
me.
No.
Say your piece. I just love this. Go for it. This is the time.
No, I said all that I needed to say. You're the Star Wars fan. I'm glad that you really enjoyed this.
Thank you, but what did you think of the movie?
I thought it was very good.
Any scenes that really stuck out to you?
Just the Darth Vader scene.
That was your biggest takeaway?
Oh, yeah.
That's mine too. The end, probably the last 10, 15 minutes has probably just destroyed it for me.
Yeah.
But what else? What else stood out to you? I feel bad!
No, you've literally said almost everything that I've liked and more. The movie is awesome. People need to go
The
check
final
this
battle
out.
scene is great.
Yes.
They're all just so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's Star Wars, man. I can't believe it's back. I'm so glad I'm a young gun. Like, I couldn't have... Like, as cool as it would have been to see those movies when they first aired as a little kid, I can't even imagine. Like, I would love to be that, but I'm also pretty happy that I'm growing up with more good ones coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, guys, what did you think? I'm sorry I spoke more than him. He is the best of us. He really is. He's the best part of movie meals. This guy right here, my partner in crime. Love this man. Comment below. Let us know what you thought. Like, comment, share. Hey, man, tell us what you loved about the film.
Yeah.
If you want to hear more about me ranting on Star Wars, if you want to hear him just alone talk about Star Wars, whatever you want, let us know. Hey, keep eating meals. Don't forget that. That's important to... You guys we all eat food when we watch a movie. It's important to eat food.
Healthy part of your day, I think.
All right, guys. Thanks, Mom. She didn't watch this one. It's too long.
That's fair. See you guys.
See ya.